President-elect Trump is back in New York today holding meetings as he works to fill more key administration posts. Former CIA director and retired Army General David Petraeus was spotted at Trump Tower earlier. He may now be in contention for Secretary of State, along with Rudy Giuliani, Senator Bob Corker, and Mitt Romney. Here was the general upon his exit.
The meeting went very well. Was with him for about an hour. He basically walked us around the world, showed a great grasp of a variety of the challenges that are out there and some of the opportunities as well. So, very good conversation, and we'll see where it goes from here. And I've got to teach this afternoon, so that's all I can do today.
Did you have any advice for him?
Corker and Romney both have meetings tomorrow with the president-elect. Some Trump loyalists are still publicly voicing concerns about Romney being in contention for this prominent position.
I think that there was the Never Trump movement, and then there was Governor Mitt Romney. He went out of his way to hurt Donald Trump. We don't know who Mitt Romney voted for. We're all for party unity. I don't think a cost of admission for party unity has to be the Secretary of State position.
I think there is nothing Mitt Romney can say that doesn't sound phony and, frankly, pathetic. Speaking for most of the Trump supporters, while we will support President-elect Trump in whatever he does, I think we would be enormously disappointed if he brought Mitt Romney in any position of authority.
Incoming White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus is trying to dismiss reports that there is open warfare within Team Trump over Romney.
It isn't a matter of warfare. I mean, there's a lot of opinions about this, and yes, it is a sort of a team of rivals concept. If you were to go toward the Governor Romney concept, I can just assure the American people the fact that he's actually even flirting with the idea of choosing a rival should tell the American people where he's at, which is the best place for everyone in this country.
Interesting. And it was Reince earning his pennies yesterday. Kimberly,
Yes.
What do you make of all of this?
Well, it all comes down to flirting, doesn't it? You heard it from Reince right there. He said, look, this is a little bit of flirting with a rival. Is it or is it not? Now you see a little kind of new development with more people moving into the mix. You saw Petraeus going in, now Corker's name. So they're adding more to it, so it's not going to be a choice directly between Rudy Giuliani, Trump loyalist who's proved himself over and over again to be worthy of the position and definitely wants it. I think would do a great job. And then Mitt Romney, also a highly capable individual who definitely was not supportive of the president-elect. So let's see, maybe they're going to make one of these other surprise picks. But I still like Rudy.
One person you actually haven't heard from is actually Mitt Romney, Eric. He's actually been pretty quiet through all of this, sort of sitting there waiting, and then actually going back for a second interview tomorrow.
Second interview
tomorrow?
tomorrow?
I guess it's an interview. I shouldn't. Maybe it's just a meeting.
Right.
Is that breaking news?
I thought it was great news that General Petraeus came to visit today, and now you have three. You have Rudy, you have Romney, you have Petraeus. Hopefully it keeps going.
Corker.
Hopefully it keeps going. But it's probably the most important appointment I think he's going to make. You have defense, you have Treasury, but I think Secretary of State going forward is an extremely important pick. So I hope Donald Trump, President-elect, continues to interview people, to talk to people. Hopefully maybe it's someone we haven't even heard yet. I know if you watch enough cable news on other networks, there's this massive problem going on within the Trump organization, transition team, and it's not really the case. That's not the case. Yes, there are loyalists on both sides, and yes, it's kind of playing out in the media, but he's smart I believe Donald Trump is very smart doing what he's doing. See a bunch of people, take your time with the decision, maybe even announce some of the other appointments before you get back to Secretary of State.
What do you think, Juan? You've covered several transitions. This is a little bit different, but I guess we could expected it to be different.
Yeah, I don't think Donald Trump was prepared for all this, and of course his transition team was trying to get it together. So now you have a situation where I find this so intriguing. This is really, shooting inside the tent going on with the Romney nomination, and largely over the issue of loyalty. Donald Trump famously said, though, he thinks that Mitt Romney looks the part. I don't know, so maybe that's a qualification. But when you look at some leading conservative publications, they're saying they have a concern that, in fact, loyalty should not trump experience. And clearly, when you look at experience, you would have to look at someone like General Petraeus, who was visiting today. You'd have to think about someone like Bob Corker, whose experience as head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate is substantial, and he is well respected. The question is, you have to have someone who Donald Trump can trust, Dana. Someone who Donald Trump feels comfortable, because he's going to have to bring him information at times that's going to be like, no, Donald, Russia's not our friend, and Vladimir Putin is not a hero to the American people. And Donald Trump is going to have sufficient faith in that person to listen to them at that critical moment.
And what about you? You've got some notes here.
Is that what everybody says? Oh, look, you have notes.
Well,
There's something wrong with being prepared.
Those are the same notes from when we started the show 5 years ago.
This is all just prop. No, I think Petraeus is a good thing. He's a sober adult in a sea of feeling. Remember, he was the guy behind the surge, and for any tried and true military mind, the surge is the way war should be. It's like it makes no sense that you don't have a continuous surge. That's why he was so successful and why it's good that he is one of the people there. It's good news because if you look at everybody there, there's not a bad egg in the bunch. You're kind of, although it does feel like you're watching the casting of a movie, which is not as exciting as the movie itself, but you get the sense that compared to the last 8 years, we are replacing the Teletubbies with the A-Team. You know, it's like the adults are coming in. But I do have a concern.
Who's Spaceman?
That's a good question. Mitch Spaceman.
Romney.
But here's what becomes of Fox News. So I'm looking at the roster so far. You got KT McFarland, Ben Carson, Bolton, Crowley, Huckabee, Scott Brown. These are all FNC mainstays. Are they going to replace the Supreme Court with outnumbered? And does that make Clarence Thomas one lucky guy? I'm worried. We're not going to have anybody here anymore.
Don't worry, you'll still be here.
You know that. You know that. I'll be hosting every show.
Every hour.
You know what's interesting about the Petraeus possibility that, well, obviously not vocal like Romney was, Kimberly, but he did serve in the Obama administration. And loyally, I would say. The other thing is, to Greg's point, I think people don't necessarily remember that when the surge in Iraq was conceived, that was General Petraeus' idea. But it wasn't just military. There was a huge diplomatic component to it and a surge in diplomatic relations through the State Department and other departments within the administration. So maybe that is a really interesting pick because you have defense, intelligence, and a diplomat all coming together into one person.
And you know him well too. So, and he's that close with KT McFarland as well. So that's kind of interesting to know that as well behind the scenes. He's a highly capable individual. He is well respected by all sides, not just both sides, all sides. Meaning if you have people talk about his level of experience, his credibility, he's somebody that knows how to put, ideology to the side and work directly for whoever the commander-in-chief is. That's why it's interesting. You see somebody right there on the screen that was working for, President Obama, and is somebody that could have worked for Hillary Clinton if she became president, and could certainly work and serve Donald Trump, who is the next president. So I think that there's a number of positions that he would be well suited for, and he certainly has the international experience.
Confirmation. I apologize, but that's
I know where you're going with it.
On this confirmation,
can he get through, and Hillary and the email
I think Giuliani would have a terrible time with confirmation hearings because of his money coming from lots of sources, including foreign capital. So I think that would be very difficult for Rudy Giuliani to get confirmed. And I think Petraeus would face some concerns over Paula Broadwell and the fact that he leaked information.
From a Republican?
Yeah, from Republicans. Because remember, Republicans were holding Hillary's feet to the fire on just this issue.
But it goes to committee first and then to a full confirmation, right?
Yeah, the committee would have to come out of committee.
Right,
but I'm saying right from the start, there would be lots of controversy, and I'm not sure that's helpful to a president trying to get his team together.
I think I'd be more worried about the Democrats seeking revenge.
On Petraeus?
Because of the Hillary email scandal.
Yeah, so that's going to pop up either way.
Don't forget,
now he's got his own private server problem. Yeah. That was a biographer, so that's going to be an issue. He knew that Broadwell.
So to come out of
Broadwell.
So to come out of committee. Yeah. You only have Republicans have a one-vote advantage in committee before it goes to the full Senate. Yeah. And so you're right. So if there is a Rand Paul who said he would push back against some of the Secretary of States that have been floated, then you have to. That's something absolutely to consider. It becomes an interesting dance on who you're entertaining, who you're dancing with going into these.
Well, and don't forget that the left is the one that took out the big ad, General Betray Us, in the hearings in 2007. Yes.
It was Move On.
Yes.
By the way, there's someone who's a totally surprise candidate, which is Tulsi Gabbard, who's the congresswoman from Hawaii and a Democrat.
For Secretary of State?
Yeah. I'm like, what?
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Well, new information right here on The 5.